This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
It's been a while since I've seen you. 500 miles southbound. Your hesitation speaks volumes, and I can't turn it down now. Are you listening? Are you
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you so know that already. I don't even know why we have to discuss it. It seems like we discuss that every day, but hey, does it really matter who the host is? I don't think it does. What matters is who's the listener, who's the viewer, and what's keeping you engaged, that's for sure. Anyways, today is Thursday, January the 26th of 2023. It is day 26, because it is January 26th of the same year, day 339 days remaining. It's always interesting on how we start that countdown right away. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida. Yes, in Orlando, Florida. That's where we do the broadcast from. But I think you kind of know that if you've hung out here before, because I kind of tend to talk about that quite often. Anyways, we are hanging out in the multiverse known as Safety FM, so don't worry about that particular aspect. We're going to get you moving and grooving with everything that's going on, but I need to let you know who we're hanging out with.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Oh, yes, some infiltration going on Radio Big as we are doing the things. Yes, phone lines are open at callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com, that you can do that particular aspect of things if you're so inclined to do so. You're more than welcome on coming out, hanging out, and doing all that kind of fun stuff. What else is going on today? So let's see. We got that. You can watch us on the visual side if you want to do that at call-in. Well, not at call-in. Why do I always want to say call-in? It's not call-in. All you have to do is go to safetyfm.com and click on the section that says visual radio, or you can go to radiobig.fm and click on visual radio. Of course, you can hang out and listen to us on iHeartRadio under Radio Big, because that's where we do our stuff there. And then, of course, we have the Safety FM app. We have a Radio Big app. Depending on how you want to do it, there's multiple ways for us to hang out. It does not have to be only on this method of whatever the hell you're listening to. And then, of course, you'll have the podcast version that I believe drops at 10 a.m. Eastern time, if I have that correctly. Yes, I do. I do have that correctly. So 10 a.m. Eastern time is the drop of the podcast of this, and it is raw and unedited. What does that mean? That just means we dump the recording exactly off of this thing into there, because nobody wants to sit around and edit anything. That's really what it boils down to. So now you're not going to hear commercial-free anything, because that would be a lie. That would be a lie. So let's start talking about what the hell this thing's about. We call it the Rated R Safety Show because it is hour one of the Jay Allen of the Morning Show. We talk about safety. We talk about what's going on inside of the world of safety. We tie in some of the shit that's going on inside of the world of news. That way you kind of get them both all tied in together. opposed to it just being one thing or the other. It confuses the crap out of people, and I like it to an extent, because they go, it's not all about safety. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Your life is not all about safety either. There's some other things that you actually do as well. So what we have done is actually devise this in a way where you get general information on some other things, and you can do the blend of things together and make it a little bit topical, opposed to you just going in there and talking to people and going, oh, I can only talk about this. Sounds very cult-like when you start doing stuff like that, and we'll leave it at that, because then some people are going to be like, did he just mention cults? So don't worry. I got you taken care of. Ignore my ignorance. That's what's going on here. So let's do this real quick. Let's start talking about what was trending in the overnight.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, and the trends of the ends, we got some stuff going on. So what's going to be on the trends? What's going on the tap? What's the hell happening today? Well, Britain is battling the frightening increase of excess death as pair of earthquakes and the latest defense package headed to the Ukraine. We'll talk a little bit more about that if you want to go through that thing. What else am I seeing here? Former President Donald Trump's re-election campaign is getting spicier as he is expected to regain access to his Facebook and Instagram accounts. And he's even warmed up sending text messages. We'll talk about that if we decide to get swampy. Fans are concerned about Britney Spears. Meanwhile, Marvel star Jeremy Renner may be a real-life superhero, and I'll explain why here in just a few. Also, he may be banned from the land down under while his daughter Northwest lands a movie gig. Well, you can talk about that if you want to know. And that's going to pretty much sum up some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. Don't worry, we're going to bring in some professional broadcasters that know what the hell they are talking about, because if I didn't do that, I would probably question a lot of things in my life on what is going on. So sit back, relax. We'll bring in the pro broadcasters. Let them tell you what the hell's going on inside of the world of the multiverse, and we'll get you moving and grooving with that. And we're going to do that. Well, let's go ahead and do that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. The U.S. is sending dozens of Abrams tanks to Ukraine. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said the move shows how unified the U.S. and its allies are in their support for Ukraine against Russia. Kirby said it'll take many months before these sophisticated tanks arrive in Ukraine and forces receive the necessary training. Other nations, including Germany, are set to send their own modern tanks to Kyiv, which has been pleading for the weapons for months. Vice President Harris is calling on lawmakers to act on the issue of gun control, following multiple deadly mass shootings in recent days.
We also need Congress to act, get at least one step closer to what is right. We need reasonable gun safety laws in our country.
On Wednesday, Harris visited Monterey Park, California, where 11 people were killed last weekend. She expressed her condolences and said she's praying for the recovery of those who were injured. The vice president told people they must demand accountability from those in government who have the power to change things. Former President Donald Trump's Facebook and Instagram are being reinstated. Brian Shook fills us in.
Meta, the owner of both social media sites, announced Wednesday that Trump's accounts will be made active again in the coming weeks. The company promised to put safeguards in place to prevent repeat offenses. Trump was suspended from both accounts in 2021 after calling January 6th rioters great patriots. If Trump were to post further content that violates protocols, he will be suspended between 1 month and 2 years, depending on the violation. I'm Brian Shook.
And a California judge has ordered the release of the footage of the attack on former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. On Wednesday, the judge ruled there was no reason to keep the audio and video from the incident involving Paul Pelosi a secret. Back in October, a man allegedly broke into the couple's San Francisco home and beat Pelosi with a hammer, leaving him with a fractured skull and other serious injuries. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Ukraine says it will now push its allies for more weapons, including long-range missiles and fighter jets. China's health authorities claim the country's COVID outbreak is easing. Japan's police are hunting someone who sent bomb threats to hundreds of schools this week, and French refinery workers have started a 48-hour strike in protest against the government's planned controversial pension reforms.
bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety
President
Show.
Biden will give a speech on the economy alongside union workers in Springfield, Virginia today.
President Biden will deliver remarks on recent proof that his economic plan is working.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the president will highlight his economic achievements since he took office. He also plans to contrast his economic plans with House Republican proposals, which include a plan to do away with income taxes and replace it with a 30% national sales tax. George Santos is giving his first floor remarks. The embattled New York congressman gave the remarks Wednesday as the House expressed its solidarity and support for Iranians protesting their government. Santos said the revolution from the protesters is based on women, life, and freedom, which are all things America has championed. He also called on the Biden administration to take greater actions than just mere sanctions against Iran's government. Global economic growth is projected to slow this year. Lisa Taylor explains.
A United Nations report released Wednesday estimates growth will slow to 1.9% this year, a decrease from an estimated 3% in 2022. That's due to Russia's war in Ukraine, continued fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic, and high inflation. The report says it's one of the lowest growth rates in recent decades. I'm Lisa Taylor.
A Virginia school board is getting rid of its superintendent amid the fallout of a recent school shooting. After a 6-year-old boy allegedly snuck a gun into an elementary school and shot his teacher, the Newport News board voted 5-1 to remove George Parker as the head of the district. On the day of the shooting earlier this month, 3 teachers warned administration that the boy was possibly armed, but their concerns were reportedly dismissed, and a 4th was denied access to search the boy's bag. And this year's Puppy Bowl is coming to a much wider audience. In its first year since the Warner Brothers and Discovery merger, the highly anticipated puppy football game will run on its usual network, Animal Planet, as well as on the Discovery Channel, TBS, HBO Max, and Discovery Plus. The game begins on Sunday, February 12th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/one small step. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
You know, maybe we should stop playing that one, safety in a way never heard of before, because now it should just be safety in a way that's being ripped off by everyone else. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. 16 minutes past top of the hour, Rated R Safety Show, as we are still hanging out on this terrific Thursday. So listen, I have to tell you this. I don't even know sometimes on how we get into some of these weird things that we find and get into. But are you aware that there is a whole sequence of events of people going around there and having their phone changed into a totally different operating system? And I'm talking about changing their phone from doing pretty much anything, and they go to specific phone systems and changing on how everything works on it. And the reason that they believe that they do this is because they're under the impression that different companies are using their data and selling it, and it can be used against them by the government. I'm telling you, I was listening to this whole thing about this. And then I was able to hear about a website, and I'm going to tell you the website just for the sake of doing so, because I thought it was so intriguing. So if you have some time today and you want to read some stuff, I would recommend taking a read to this and just taking a listen or a look of what some of this stuff does, because I was just amazed on how far people will go with some of this. And it is called NoAgendaPhone.com. NoAgendaPhone.com. And it's for people that don't want to go to a flip phone, still want to have, I guess, a versionality of a smartphone, and everything that you can do to change the operating system on the phone itself. They do strongly recommend using a Pixel phone if you're going to do anything on there, but I thought it was a very interesting thing. I think that on this one, it should be one of those where you look into some of the information opposed to me telling you everything that I found. So there you go. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into the shit list real quick, because I think that those things are going to be important for us to talk about what's going on inside of the multiverse. The United States and Germany have agreed to send tanks to the Ukraine as part of their ongoing war with Russia. The U.S. is sending 31 M1 Abram tanks, and Germany is providing 14 Leopard 2 A6 tanks. Germany contribution was contingent of the United States ponying up its own stock too, of course. Worth noting, a brutal stalemate in recent months has wreaked havoc on the Ukrainian civilization. Listen to me. Civilians as front has remained largely unchanged. Analysts hope that the introduction of these tanks will at least shake up the balance of power in the conflict. We'll see what happens. It's like having sex for virginity is what I keep on thinking about when people talk about, I don't want no war, but this is the stuff that ends up happening. Anyways, let's get into some other news. Elon Musk wants to aggressively tackle the mountain of debt that's accumulated to the purchase of Twitter. The Wall Street Journal reports that he's looking to sell about $3 billion worth of equity in the social media company to pay down the $13 billion finance. Worth noting, the terms of the unsecured debt are pretty brutal, with the most extensive credit costing 10% interest a year, plus a benchmark rate that is currently set around 4.3. And it gets worse. Those rates go up half a percentage point every quarter. They will remain on the balance sheet between the existing debt and the new financing that Musk receiving as part of the acquisition. Twitter owes more than $1.25 billion a year in just interest payments alone, and that's yearly nearly a $3.4 million in interest every day. So think about that for a moment. $1.25 billion. If you're paying that in yearly interest, you're paying almost $3.4 million a day. I don't know what you're making. I mean, I don't know what you're genning over there, but if you're getting close to somewhere in that, let's talk, because hey, that's some crazy stuff there. Anyways, let's talk about some earthquakes that occurred. I remember for a period of time we talked about earthquakes almost every single day on this thing, and then we stopped talking about them. But take a listen to this, because I thought these were interesting. Earthquake in California, magnitude 4.2. Earthquake rattled Southern California early Wednesday morning. It was the first registered just south of Malibu Beach, and no injuries or deaths were reported. Then there was an earthquake in Greece at a 5.9 magnitude earthquake that struck off the coast of Greece on Wednesday. The quake was felt as far as Cairo, Egypt, but there have been no initial reports of death or damages. And if you take a look like we were doing back in the day, because I will call it back in the day, even though it really wasn't that long ago, it's amazing the amount of earthquakes that occur, because we were seeing multiple a week, just underreported because they just weren't reported at the time. Makes you wonder about some of the things that are going on, of course, as we do talk about it. So take a listen to this one. Human remains washed up on the beach of near Cornwall, England. Speaking to local residents, but an investigation suggests that the skulls is hundreds of years old. A local environmental group found that when they were picking up litter. Let's see, the Cornwall Rural Historic Environment team believes that it may be a shipwreck victim who washed ashore that was buried. They're planning, to do some more comprehensive studies on the bones to learn about the remains. This is according to CBS News. Yeah, I think it might be a good idea to do some more investigation about what the hell's going on, opposed to it just being one of those things where you go, oh, no, we're not looking into it. I mean, we don't know what this is, so of course you need to look into it. What else would you be doing? Anyways, Britain's Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunization, sort of like the CDC, has officially ended its recommendation that people under the age of 50 get a regular COVID booster. The government will keep paying for the shots until February 12th. Meanwhile, for the week ending on January the 13th, England and Wales registered the highest number of executive deaths since listen to me, since February of 2021, before vaccines were widely available. The total England registered more than 650,000 deaths in 2022, 9% more than 2019. Meanwhile, at some conference where people are trying to decide how, the peasants should live, I'm just joking as I say that, Bill Gates, a vocal COVID vax advocate, told the audience that the mRNA vaccines are not infection blocking. They're not broad, so when the new variants come out, you lose protection, and then you have a very short duration, particularly in people who matter, which are old people. What? That sounds very kind of convoluted, as I am talking about that. So there you go. There you go. Some real weird stuff that is going on right there. There is no doubt about that as we are talking. Anyways, let's continue talking some more about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. Because what else would we do, of course? So taking a look around, I have been noticing some things that are going on. I want to mention this because a lot of people were upset about what was going on over the weekend with the football games. And, of course, 49ers played the Dallas Cowboys. But take a listen to this. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, 29, has split from his girlfriend model Natalie Buffett. 25, multiple sources confirmed the news, with one telling Page Six that they broke up in March of 2022. So why are they making a big deal about it now? Because people were saying that maybe this played a factor. Well, I don't think he was thinking about something about March during the game on Sunday. But hey, whatever. Play it like you may, my friend. Play it like you may. Anyways, with that being said, let's talk real quick about what the hell's going on with the market. Let's bring some John Smalley inside of here and let him tell you what the hell's going on.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Thursday, January 26th, 2023. Equity markets are bracing for what could be disappointing economic news in the face of rising optimism that inflation has peaked. The data includes the first read of Q4 GDP Thursday and the PCE price index on Friday. Both are expected to reveal underlying economic strength and could come in hotter than expected. In this scenario, the fear of rising interest rates would peak again and likely bring the S&P 500 down. If not, the market may be able to extend the rally that began on the first of the year and end January on an up note. The S&P 500 is a critical juncture. It is above a key channel but below a pivotal resistance level that could continue to cap gains if no other catalysts emerge. The risk that seems to be ignored by many market watchers is that the outlook for S&P 500 earnings is in decline. In this light, the index may move higher in the near term, but any gains are subject to quick reversal as the market bias is still bearish. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information right there, as we are hanging out and talking and doing all the fun stuff that we get to do. So take a listen to this. This is what I was able to find on my end. The Dow added about 9 points to close at 33,743 on Wednesday. The S&P lost about 0.73 points to close at 4,016. The NASDAQ lost about 20 points to close at 11,313. Let's see. West Texas Intermediate closed at $80 a barrel. Brent crude closed at 86. The national average price of a gallon of gas was up to $3.48 on Wednesday. I almost said Monday for some reason. Bitcoin surged late on Wednesday, adding more than $370. So now it's at $23,000. Or just a tiny bit above that. There was 4,241 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Wednesday, with about 657 cancellation as winter storms pummeled, yes, and I will say pummeled, the East Coast. And then last but not least, winning ticket for Tuesday night's $31 million Mega Million drawing was sold in Massachusetts. The cash option was $16.3 million. Friday night's Mega Million drawing will be for $20 million jackpot, or a $10.5 million cash payout. So there you go. If you want to play the game, you can do so, because there's all kinds of fun stuff still to be able to do. There is no doubt about that as we are talking. Anyways, take a listen to this, because this is going on. A Virginia school board is getting rid of the superintendent amid the fallout of a recent school shooting. Mark Mayfield has more.
After a 6-year-old boy allegedly snuck a gun into an elementary school and shot his teacher, the Newport News Board voted 5-1 Wednesday to remove George Parker as the head of the district. Parents and teachers cited security lapses after it was revealed that his teacher had tried multiple times to get help for the combative child, but was ignored by the school. On the day of the shooting earlier this month, 3 teachers warned administration that the boy was possibly armed, but their concerns were reportedly dismissed, and a 4th was denied access to search the boy's bag. I'm Mark Mayfield.
You know, you have to start wondering some of that information when you hear it, because you go, okay, so how the hell did the kid snuck the gun in? So there you go. It just makes it kind of an interesting thing that actually is going on. Now, we can go into some deeper dives here. Take a listen to this.
This tragedy was entirely preventable if the school administrators responsible for school safety had done their part and taken action.
You know, a lot of people say that about how incidents are preventable post-event, but that's in retrospect. We kind of know that it's a terrible time to reference this, but we need to talk about it because it's important to do this. Were the right safeguards in place? As we have learned, the answer is no. Maybe that's some of the things to talk about. Also, Newport News City School Board Chair Lisa Surlis says that law discusses the move as part of the superintendent, Dr. George Parker, parts ways. Take a listen.
Is a capable division leader who has served Newport News for nearly 5 years. This decision is based on the future trajectory and needs of our school division.
So the Newport News School Board member Gary Hunter says that there is a bigger issue at hand. Take a listen.
I tell you, getting rid of someone is not going to fix this particular problem. This problem is not a Newport News problem, not a Newport News School Board, not a Newport News City problem. The big elephant in the room is the gun.
So a lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking. So, you know, we talk about this, about the blame shame game in regards of, listen, I know that someone was shot. I know that we're talking about a 6-year-old bringing in a gun, but also getting rid of the superintendent. I'm not an advocate for anybody here, but thinking about it, what the hell is going to change by firing the person? Is it going to change anything that has occurred, or is it going to change anything in the future? That's going to be some of the questions that people will be asking around the water cooler at some point today of, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? Think about that. Anyways, in some other news, a human smuggling operation in Detroit River has been busted by federal officials. Sinbad restaurant and marina owner Mark Blank says that he showed officials his surveillance video last year after a boat dropped off 6 people when they were closed.
People coming off the dock. Now, I didn't really see what the type of boat it was or anything, but I saw them walk off our dock and walk around the building, and we had a couple different camera angles where we saw them.
They accuse Albert Bale's nail salon VP owner Quan Dang Hong of running a ring with Ho Sai Thong. Hong faces several charges, including employing an illegal citizens and conspiracy. Sinbad restaurant and marina owner Mark Blank says that people brought to the country illegally were seen on the video from his business.
In the front overlooking, and we saw him walking around the building.
So there you go. Some stuff going on right there as we are talking. Let's stay in Michigan for just one moment. Governor Gretchen Whitmer wants the state to enact universal gun background checks, safe storage law, and extreme risk protection orders in her State of the State address. She said that those laws will not impact law-abiding citizens and gun owners and will make the state safer for children.
Florida and Indiana can get this done. We sure as heck can, right?
Whitmer also says that she wants to continue to invest in the state's economy and make Michigan the world's premier advanced manufacturing destination. She announced that the Lowering Michigan Cost Plan that includes rolling back the unpopular retirement tax and saving $500,000 homes, $1,000 a year on average. Hold on, I don't know where I got $500,000. Maybe I got way too excited there. Governor Gretchen Whitmer wants Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act updated.
Expand the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act so you can't be fired or evicted for who you are or how you identify or who you love. That's your business.
Governor Whitmer also wants to retire the tax gun.
Repealing the retirement tax will make a huge difference for our seniors. Ultimately, it will save 500,000 households an average of $1,000 a year. That's money for prescriptions and groceries and gas or gifts for your grandkids.
So there you go. Let's just get out of, all taxes altogether is what it sounds like there. That's it for sure. So anyways, let's get into this because it is time to do so. It is currently 33 minutes past the top of the hour. So maybe we should do the thing that we do around this time because it's all importante.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Yes, Rated R Safety Show, main story as we are hanging, as we are banging, as we are doing, as we are moving, as we are grooving. And I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking and I get so confused sometimes in regards of what we do in our industry. And I get so confused at times on what we do to rattle the cage, on what we do on wanting to make things change. And I look at this and I go, listen, if you take a look around, let's not lie. There are some big organizations out there that provide certifications for most safety programs. Most safety certificates. So you either have to go through this one company that leads you to another company that they actually do certifications. Kind of the way that it works. Been that way for years. And the interesting part there is that these organizations are quote unquote, or some of them claim to be nonprofit, some of them are for profit. But you take a look around and take a look at some of the big ones, and they're making multi-million dollars a year in doing business. And listen, I am not against commerce in regards to this. But if you are forcing people to renew their credentials year after year, something should be given that is worth its while opposed to dues. It can't just be about the dues that you owe somebody, because that just seems silly. Yes, you are still credentialed if you give me $300 to $500 a year. Doesn't make sense to me. So I take a look around and I see some people that are out there that complain about this. And they take a look and they go, listen, this makes no sense to me. I don't believe in the way that the credentialing system is. Good, that makes sense. So then they start their own safety certification and have somebody else accredit them. No problem. Do what you need to do. But then all of a sudden, there is another accreditation that comes out, and now there is another track record on how it has to be paid for. And listen, I'm not saying that you should have a one-time certification that guarantees you for the rest of your life, because that's not the case. But let's have something that's realistic. I have to renew my driver's license once every 8 years, at least in the glorious state that I'm in. And I take a look at that and go, yeah, that's probably, that frequency is not good enough, but I am paying for a service there. And I have a hard time understanding on why you want to make a new certification for safety to essentially to go into the same loophole. And then the other portion, if you complain about an organization all the time, organizations that are out there that are doing this, why is it that when they have speaking events that are available that are open to the public, you want to apply to speak at them? You can't complain about someone and then say, hey, let me show up and speak at your event. Like, you can't pick on the significant or the person that you would like to have as your significant other all the time and say, oh, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you. And then you heard that they're not dating anyone and go, hey, let's go out on a date. Don't know how magic works. Don't think that that's going to be as magical as you think. I don't know how you feel about safety certifications. I think that certifications do bring some value into life. But when they become the monetization portion, that's how you're looking at funding thing, you're almost looking at it as dues that are being paid, not so much because you're recertifying people. You're looking at it because that is how you're going to make a profit. Listen, we all want residual income. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that that's not the case. But be honest for the reason on why you're trying to do this. There's so many different things in this world that we get lost in regards to what we're doing. And, somebody will sit back and say, well, all the people that pay for all these streaming services and all this other stuff. Yes, that is residual income that is taking place. But the streaming service normally provides new content as you go, where some of these certification companies don't do that. You are still certified because you paid dues. I don't understand that. I don't feel like we're gaining new knowledge by doing that. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at MobileMobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. Hey, Dad. Your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad. Your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey. Why don't you take a minute? When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Rated R Safety Show on this terrific Thursday. It is currently 44 minutes past the top of the hour. You don't have to worry about that. We're still moving. We're still grooving. Anyways, this one right here is called Missing You Now. This is by Drew Elliott. Want to give a little thank you to Drew Elliott for allowing us to play this one. Songs readily available on Spotify and iTunes. Give it a little download real quick. Little streaming action. So let's get back into it. Let's get back into what is going on. Let's start talking a little bit more about some of the things that are going on inside of the multiverse. It's not Friday, so we won't talk about what's going on in the multiplex because that's a whole other day that we do that. But we can start talking real quick about some of the very important things. If anything, it might be the most important thing that I'll ever tell you. And that's about my friends at the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and your loved ones, and the best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org, or you can text the word TALK to 988. Or call 988. That's some options that are available for you if you're so inclined to do so. Anyways, there you go. Before you make the next move, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, ready there, available for you. So there you go. Anyways, let's talk about some things that are going on inside of the world here. So much for working vacation. According to research out of the UK, working while you should be relaxing isn't the flex that you think that it is, and over time it can lead to decreased productivity and even exhaustion. As reported in the Journal of Occupation and Organizational Psychology, researchers conducted weekly surveys for 90 teachers over 2 months before, during, and after the school winter break. What did they find? There are practically no benefits of vacation time when the employees insist upon working when they should be resting. This includes checking email, preparing or finishing work, or speaking to colleagues about work. They don't mention it here, but it also includes looking after anything that the honey-do list, plus the types of houseworks. In fact, it turns out that golf is the only activity allowed while on vacation. So if my wife asks, just in case. On the other hand, they found among those things who treat on regular work time that if there were any of them on vacation, while their productivity is noting or nothing close to right about now, to write about at home. So there you go. So there's nothing right now to write about at home. This rarely suffers exhaustion, so Mojito Monday might be a thing to talk about as we are thinking about it. I don't know. What do you think about this whole mess? Do you work while on vacation? Vacation while on work? I mean, I don't know. I think that there's some people that vacation while on work. At least it seems that way as we are talking. Anyways, before I forget, let me mention this real quick because I think it's important to talk about. This is the Safety Differently workshop that's taking place March 6th through the 9th of 2023 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We would love to see you there. We would love for you to come out, hang out, and do all the things that you can as we are doing the stuff. All you have to do is go to safetyfm.io, and that will get you into the thing, and that way we can move forward and talk about what the hell is going on inside of the world of safety differently. You'll get to be hosted by Todd Conklin, Martha Acosta, Mark Yeston, and Bob Edwards. We would definitely love to see you there. It'll be a good time in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and, you know, based on track records, time of the year, weather's good. That's important because I don't like going to places that are cold. If it's avoidable. Yes, it is avoidable. So there you go. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things that are happening inside of the world. Take a listen to this. A 15-year-old in Forest Park High School student is dead following an off-campus shooting. It happened around 3 p.m. yesterday in the alley behind the 4300 block at Liberty Heights Avenue. Let's see. Mayor Brandon Scott joined Police Commissioner Michael Harrison at the scene for a news briefing.
We have to be better when it comes to each other. We should never be talking about the loss of any life through violence, especially our young people.
Forest Park will open on a 2-hour delay this morning, and counselors will be available for those in need of support. Baltimore City Public Schools has issued a statement saying that those are that thoughts are with the family, friends, and school community. Anyone with information about the shooting is asked to call the police or Metro Crime Stoppers at 866 7 lockup. That's 866-7-LOCKUP. Police Commissioner Michael Harrison says that officers were called to the scene around 3 p.m.
Upon their arrival, police officers located one male victim who was in the alley, apparent gunshot wounds.
Mayor Brandon Scott says the gun industry should be held accountable.
Same way that we've been holding other industries accountable for death, be it cancer with cigarettes, we have to start holding the gun industry accountable too, because they are profiting off the death of our people, our citizens, our babies, our mothers, our sons, our daughters.
So there you go, coming out of Michigan. A lot of stuff happening inside of the world as we are talking. Take a listen to this real quick. Police still haven't established a motive for the shooting massacre that killed 11 people in Monterey Park. Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna spoke at a news conference on Wednesday night.
I believe the suspect has frequented the dance studio in the last 5 years. They have not been able to establish a connection between the suspect and any of the victims thus far.
Luna adds that the 72-year-old man was not married, which dismisses report that may have been looking for a wife. There's no romantic connection between the man and any of the victims. Sheriff Luna says the gun used in the massacre was a MAC-10 that was not registered in California and had been purchased by the shooter in Monterey Park back in 1999.
Was recovered in Alhambra that the suspect used to kill the 11 victims and shoot the other 9.
Sheriff Luna from Monterey Park, police have recovered the motorcycle registered to the suspect and was parked about a block away from the dance studio.
Investigators believe it was placed there by the suspect as an alternative getaway vehicle.
LA County Sheriff Captain Andrew Meyer says and describes how the shooter carried out the attack.
As far as the positioning in the room, he did a spraying motion with the firearm.
So there you go. A lot of information coming out of there as we are talking. There is no doubt about that. Take a listen to this real quick. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump joined members of the Florida Legislature Black Caucus to announce a lawsuit against the state's decision to reject an advanced placement course on African American history for high schoolers.
We let Governor DeSantis or anybody exterminate black history in the classrooms across America. No!
Crump and other lawyers are suing on the behalf of 3 students. The governor says that the course proposed by the college board violates the Stop Woke Act and promotes a political agenda. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump insists that the students' rights and those of teachers are being violated.
The high school teachers are protected against being censored, ensuring an accurate retelling of our shared history.
So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there as we are talking. Let's see. What else? That's what we got. Matter of fact, let me do this one real quick. Google says the Justice Department complained that abusing its position in digital advertising is without merit. Lisa Taylor reports.
Giant said it would defend itself vigorously against the DOJ, saying it should be required to sell its Ad Manager suite, which generates a chunk of Google's revenue. Google said the move would slow innovation, raise advertising fees, and make it more difficult for small businesses to grow. I'm Lisa Taylor.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, for that. With all this being said and all the stuff happening, let's do this. Let's bring in some John Small for some Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Barb. Victor Hugo said, "The greatest happiness of life is conviction that we are loved. Loved for ourselves, or rather loved in spite of ourselves." Now, I gotta tell you, I'm not sure who Victor Hugo is, but I can sure relate to this quote. He hit the nail on the head for me, for sure, the in spite of ourselves part. Sometimes I wonder how my wife puts up with me. I'm not always easy to live with, I'm sure. I'm a bit headstrong, but so is she. Maybe that's why it's worked out for over 23 years. If you want to be happy, focus on making other people happy, and it will, in return, make you happy as well. I wish I could put some sort of guarantee on that advice, but there's no surefire solution. Sorry. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. One's diet affects testosterone levels. Nearly 20 to 50% of U.S. men have testosterone deficiency. Men who eat a pro-inflammatory diet, which is rich in refined sugar and refined carbohydrates and fats all combined, are 30% more likely to have testosterone deficiency, which in turn leads to low libido, decreased energy, poor concentration, and is also associated with cardiovascular disease and obesity. A diet high in both refined carbohydrates and fats, essentially a standard American diet, was associated with low testosterone independent of age, race, caloric intake, smoking status, education level, and BMI. Obesity, on top of the pro-inflammatory diet, increases risk of low testosterone by 60%. For more information on wellness, check out AlessaMorgan.com.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. 55 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out. At the top of the hour, I will be going over to RadioBig.fm for the next couple of hours or so and doing some of the things that we get to do over there. So if you'd like to come and hang out, please feel free on doing so. So let's talk about some things that happened back on this day, back in 2020. Kobe Bryant dies in a helicopter crash. The LA Lakers basketball legend and his daughter Gianna, 13, and 6 family friends along with the pilot were aboard of a chopper heading to Ventura County. All 9 were killed after the helicopter crashed into the side of a mountain and began burning. The official cause of death was listed as a blunt force trauma. So that happened back in 2020. If you're looking at some birthdays to celebrate today, here we go. Joseph Quinn turns 29. Mercedes Varnado, best known as Sasha Banks, turns 31, and one of my favorite female wrestlers of all time, no doubt about it. Colton Underwood turns 31. Vince Carter, 46. Kevin McCarthy turns 58. Wayne Gretzky, 62. Anita Baker turns 65. And Ellen DeGeneres turns 65 today. Also today would have been Eddie Van Halen's birthday. He was born back in 1955. Just some information there. And also Paul Newman's birthday. He was born back in 1925. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, I have some of those for you real quick. It's Toad Hollow Day of Encouragement, Indian Republic Day, Clashing Clothes Day, National Green Juice Day. Good luck with that. International Customs Day, National Peanut Butter Brittle Day, National Spouses Day. I thought that was on Valentine's Day. What the hell's going on? No, just kidding. And then Australia Day. That's all going on today. So if you need some reasons to celebrate, there you go. Have some for you right there. What else? If you need a random joke for today, try this. All my passwords are protected by amnesia. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What bit of trivia do you know that is very interesting but also very useless? Listen, we could probably have a whole conversation about useless knowledge that I have. And that's not a joke as I say that. Because I have researched so many things that are probably so odd that nobody would care to know them except yours truly, where I could just bust them out in random conversation and people go, how useless is that? And I go, I think I've accomplished what I'm trying to accomplish. If you need something for the water cooler, try this. A survey found that people who do this are more likely to lead adventurous and sexier lives. What is it? Eat spicy food. I didn't realize that if you ate spicy food, you had an adventurous life or a sexier life. Anyway, some whack facts real quick for you. No one knows for sure why we have armpit hair. The distance from your wrist to your elbow is the same length as your foot. A study found that Instagramming your food before eating it may make it taste better. Researchers found that having too many friends on Facebook causes people to have negative perception of you. Cats can hear ultrasounds, and a slang word used by bankers for those who pay off their credit cards in full each month are deadbeats. There you go. Anyways, thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.